Hello. So I'm attempting an Ask Me Anything format for certain episodes of my podcast. And just to make clear, this is not going to be the only approach that I'm going to start using. This is just me branching off and doing some other aspects of, this podcast. So each question might receive its own individual episode, unless the question sucks, in which case I'll answer it as sort of a throwaway segment in a different episode. So make the questions good. If you want to, you can just look me up on social media on either Facebook or Twitter. So again, you can ask me anything, but you can try to make the questions good. I will try to be an open book kind of thing. But anyway, I did get two responses. One was from Evangeline the Voodoo Priestess. And she asked me, how do you think movie trends kick off and cycle through? So I do want to say I'm not a filmmaker, nor do I consider myself a foremost expert, but I am an entertainment writer. I've talked about films and TV shows, and I've even interviewed some people in the industry, so it's not like I know absolutely nothing. But I would like to think that, as far as like movie trends kicking off and cycling through, they're like seasons of the year, and as they come and go, we tend to go along with our favorite elements of each, or maybe we just stay away and say this sucks. So that kind of, explains part of it already. There's a portion where we're going to be infatuated with something for some time, and maybe sometimes we get tired of it. I don't think I'm that far off the mark here, and there are several shifts in cultural production that happen where the best films come out at one point and the next period is much quieter for the movies you'll like, unless you really lack discerning taste and just love everything, of course, which actually happens pretty much. But there's a good chance there's going to be a phase where certain filmmakers also won't be able to get financing. But as an artist, you have to persevere and make sure you have your next film lined up. That's my bit of advice for any aspiring filmmakers out there. You have to make sure you're working on something that you're really excited about, that people would say hire me for, and of course that people would want to watch. Of course, if you already have a reputation or if people are desperate to get into the movie business, some will work with you without caring what you're currently working on. In the entertainment industry, there are innovators or trendsetters, and there are copycats and trend followers, just like the music industry, or I suppose the arts in general. So that's another aspect of it. That's why there are so many different similar genres out there, because you have a lot of copycats. If you're prolific and you want to wear many different hats as a filmmaker, you'll probably have different scripts at different stages of development, and hopefully you won't just be following trends, which I think isn't quite healthy. Now, that's why I think movie trends end up withering, because people end up oversaturating the market with them. In my opinion, that's what happens to characters like Freddy Krueger, and I'm not intending to, disrespect Freddy Krueger, because he's actually probably my favorite slasher villain. Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is not only one of my favorite horror movies, but one of my favorite movies, period, of any genre. If there's a lot of something out there and nothing new, however, some people they'll start to lose interest. Coincidentally, that's sort of how I feel about superhero movies or any action team films, which are coming out left and right. And I think it's at least somewhat at the expense of other genres of film. Still, I guess if a superhero or a supervillain movie comes along that looks interesting enough, I'll probably give it a chance. But at the end of the day, I'm still glad people are interested in these creative endeavors, even if they're not always my cup of tea. I'll quote Christiane Strang, a professor of neuroscience at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Quote, creativity in and of itself is important for remaining healthy, remaining connected to yourself and connected to the world. And that's from an NPR article, if you're curious. So, anyway, I also think that in a roundabout way, many creative voices get lost in the fog of either poverty, poor education, or low self esteem. If you're too busy at a dead end job and don't think you have a snowball's chance at becoming a successful artist, you're less likely to say, I have to try and find more time to do that now. Instead, you'll keep flipping that burger, pushing that mop, or sitting in that cubicle thinking about what could have been. Also, I think some people don't even try because they don't get support from mom and dad or their peers or the area that they live in. I hate to use the area of where I live, but most artist types from around here only succeed when they leave. You know, there isn't a whole lot of creative work for people to sink their teeth into that's original to this area. And if they stay here and never venture far, they'll most likely only have limited success at best. So, unfortunately, there are areas where this is a pretty regular problem. Obviously, I think these are among the biggest hurdles to the creation of a film or a solid art career in general. But the world needs innovators, and hopefully, things can become more democratic and open up. So, those people who thought they couldn't maybe can, and more easily. I've heard some accounts of struggling independent filmmakers. I think the most challenging part is basically the whole experience of going into the process without much knowledge of how people in the industry work or the financing structure. Still, some people have that entrepreneurial spirit that gives them an edge. All they know is that they want to do it and they have a clear idea in their head. Sometimes they need the cash to articulate their thoughts clearly, however, and that's of course true of music too. Playing music, you have to do that also because you love it first and foremost, and you shouldn't make success the first thing on your mind. That's just a bad idea. Even if you do want success, it shouldn't be the only focus, or I would say not even the main focus. Not only might success never arrive, but if you're all about the money, you'll probably end up making intentionally generic pop crap. And, the world has enough of that already. So anyway, that's basically what I have to say about that. Hopefully I did a pretty good job answering this person's question. So, like I said, you can look my name up on social media, on Twitter or Facebook, if you've got a question that you want me to answer. So, have a good day.